Hello, well this is an updatey sort of video. I have this idea that I'll make a video in the morning, right? And I took a walk this morning. I would have probably made a video on the walk, or though there's no trail out there, so I wonder how, it would be. I really like the fact that I can walk in the forest with no trail now, because in the jungle in Hawaii, there's just not that kind of getting out into nature. I mean, the jungle is no pleasure, nor barely really even possible to walk through unless you hack a way through, and that way will not be there unless you go often and keep hacking it back. So it's really different, whereas like the forest behind our house is just the forest, and yeah, you have to go down and under things, and there's a few branches and you might break and step in a bog. But you can basically walk in any direction, more or less. I mean, there's plenty of things you want to walk around, but then you can weave your way, and then you get to a clearing, and it's really, really beautiful. There's some places where the ground in the forest is all green because it's got a thick pelt of kind of moss and mossy type grasses. So my wife and I took a walk, so I didn't take the camera, and yeah, we got a bit out there. We were wondering if we were disoriented at all at one point, but we pulled out the cell phone. We have a compass on it, and that thing pointed in the wrong direction, and I'm glad we didn't follow it. I'm like, I know it's not that way, that way's north. And then later it had the correct direction, and in the end, because of that confusion, I was like, I wonder what would come out, because if you go in one direction, you could get dangerously lost. I think, you could be dangerously lost out there. But in the other direction, it's bounded on the north by a road. And I thought one might come out on the road somewhere. We came up right behind the back of the house. We were on the right track. But I've lived over 10 years in Hawaii, and it's my sense of direction is still good. In a forest, when you're not walking on a path and you've got to turn around, you kind of, the brain, I think, almost has like a compass, and you kind of have to keep track of it, though. And if you lose confidence in where you're going, you could, for example, listen to a stupid smartphone that doesn't know which direction is really north. But in the end, we went the way we thought we should, and I started to be like, I thought we should be at that place we passed by now. But in the end, we came right out back to our house. So that was really interesting, and I do want to take some video and show you guys what it's like back there. It's just gorgeous. There's so many places in a forest that are like delicate and interesting, and just I just get a lot from it. So this is kind of updating style, and that's what I was thinking. I could make morning, because I'd like to get out and take a walk every morning. Maybe combining that with a video would help me always to take time, because I'm prone, especially working on my own stuff here, trying to get things going, to waking up and just working, and that kind of is better. I'm here in nature for a reason. I want to get out there and make sure I at least touch base every day. And not just like sometimes go and down to the ocean and whatever, and take a road trip, but something that's part of the everyday tempo. And so that would be like an update kind of video, because I don't necessarily have a subject. Usually when I make videos, it's something on these philosophical or political things. It's something I've been thinking, mulling over a little bit, and I'm just like, okay, I'm going to brain dump what I've been thinking. Now, one thing, I noticed is, like, talking about this presuppositional apologetics, I realize I don't give much context, and it would be better if I did give context, but in a sense. But how am I supposed to do? You can't start from scratch. It's like, you don't have a conversation for 5 and 6 years and just every time start with an intro, But of course, you guys haven't all followed all of these sub threads of the conversations I am in, and I would love to remember to have certain references, or I would love an automatic tool that would provide references. Because I have talked about this before, but it's not particularly an interest of all of yours, and yet some of you have interesting ideas on the subject, and so therefore that's why it would be nice to give a context, and if there's these reasons, it's sort of a pain. So let me give a little bit of context. First of all, it sort of connects to everything, this presuppositional apologetics. Now, in terms of who's arguing from this presuppositional apologetic point of view, you've got Eric Hovind. Okay, Kent Hovind had a child. This is a Creation Museum kind of guy. They have, I think their channel is called Creation Today. Eric Hovind. They like to go to atheist get-togethers. They love arguing with atheists. They know who all the YouTube atheists are. Okay, Eric has debated Thunderfoot with hilarious results. I made a video on that once. And Aaron Ra and other people. And who's the little... the one that looks like a gnome. I forget. Anyway, so that's who's arguing that. And then a guy that I don't know how I ended up subscribed to, but I must have seen a video. I thought, oh, I'll subscribe to this. And now I forget. It was in my notes. I mentioned him, the moral atheist or something like that. I forget. He was arguing, and then my video was a reply to that. Okay, I didn't put a link. I should at least put a link. Okay, but it's just, I'm thinking something and I talk about it. And I always kind of feel like, well, the people that know what I'm talking about will be part of the conversation. And the people that might want to click on a link and watch a video, you know, okay. So Eric Hovind is using this this argument. Now, this is what I've discussed forever. Now, I am not arguing about presuppositionalism with theists. I'm not interested in that. My point is that, first of all, historically, mainstream philosophers like Descartes, you know, people like Pascal, as atheism became more and more sort of, well, let's put it this way, as their theism became more and more rarefied, you know, less and less distinguishable from secular thinking, and yet people like Descartes still believed in a Christian God, or a God of some sort. You know, like the founding in the U.S. where you had deists. You know, you have this secular thinking, but the people weren't ready to just say that they didn't believe in God. That's what presuppositional apologetics reminds me of, right? It is a last gasp of intellectual people trying to believe in the theistic God. But what I really like about it is that, you know, I have argued a lot about metaphysics and the need for metaphysics, right? Because secular thinkers and atheists, many of them, almost all, it's very easy, believe in metaphysics. They believe that there's a metaphysics, that there's this ontological argument that of course you have to have metaphysics, because you have to start from somewhere, and there's nowhere to start except for picking things out of the air, and we haven't figured out exactly why, but somehow we just know these things that are true because they seem like they have to be true, like cause and effect, right? Now there is truth to consequentialism, but I believe it comes from our experiences, and our experiences are linked to our bodies as humans and even as mammals. These are the origin of our folk wisdoms, is having bodies for millions of years. Okay, so it's not that surprising to me if the concept of cause and effect that we deduce that might be programmed into our genes, evolved in by now, that it could break down in situations that our bodies have never experienced or had to experience or worried about, like small atomic systems. And yet it would be wrong to say they don't affect us, or that it's a matter of scale, that the macroscope is somehow fundamentally different from the microscope, because we're made of atomic systems, small atomic systems. Okay, so you know, my arguments about how I believe in that materialism as an idea in substance and stuff and things has been destroyed, but I still believe in materialism. I believe in a different etymology of materialism, an etymology of things that matter, material facts, that some things are of great consequence and matter more than other things that are of lesser consequence and matter less. That there's a gradient and a sense of things that matter and material facts. And we have not lost that version of materialism, has not been done away with. And an interesting thing about that version is it applies no matter what. If I'm in the Matrix and I drop something, and it's just a computer simulation, and it drops on my computer simulated foot, which is then broken and the computer simulates pain, that matters. That is still of consequence. Right? And I think the issues that a lot of people are arguing about, excuse me, I was watching Mortimer was getting a reply from I forget, whatever, from a guy, and they're arguing over the quantum mechanical issues, and like somehow because particles have the wave function, that's immaterial because they're not stuff in the old sense. Well, that's this example I use over and over and over. You know, if an ancient Greek person thought that the sun was a fiery chariot being driven through the sky by a god, and finds out that that's not true, it doesn't mean the sun doesn't exist. Okay, and in the same sense, if you find out that material is not like we thought it was, little BBs, you know, clay, that doesn't mean there's nothing material. It means our concept of what material means has to change, right? And the way to keep a hold of what we already know and go into this new world is to remember things of consequence and their relationship to material facts. That's what I think. Okay, and so that's why I like the presuppositional apologetics, because I think it's a way for, it's a real set of questions that the atheists really, the YouTube atheists in particular, but anybody that's an atheist, any thinker really, has to address. And most people don't. And that's been an axe of mine to grind. You see, relativistic skepticism is an answer to those problems. And embodied mind theory is an answer to those problems, right? And it doesn't answer everything back to the axiomatic first points of law, because as far as we know, there is no such thing like that. But it does answer what our human starting points have been. Now, I think my family might be home, and I'm going to take a break before continuing work, because they went and got an electric piano, because my stepson's a great piano player, and he's now going to play piano for the band at his new school, which he's loving, and so I'll help them set that up and play around with it for a bit. So I might be cut off, so I'll end this up with something I can wrap up. Now, I don't know if any of you have noticed how I go in these long back and forths with Adam. And it's Adam O'Shea, is that it? Adam O'Shea, or Adam O'Shea? It's probably Adam O'Shea. And often I wonder why people don't complain. What do you do? Why do you spend so much time? But maybe by now the people that would say that have already said it, because they've seen me go back and forth some time with people and things like this. Now, this is on and on. You might wonder, and Adam, you might wonder, you see. Now, if you're coming in here, I feel that you're coming into a laboratory, right, and a clockwork shop, and we all gather around the work table, you know, when the work's not actively going on, and have a tea time and coffee time. You know, sometimes a malt liquor, some of us might have. And we discuss the clocks that we have taken apart and how they were built, the clocks we have built. You know, we analyze these things. We go, oh, that's cool. Oh, I don't like that kind of weight. Oh, I don't think that's a good material. I tried this. This didn't work. That did work. And this is what I think we're doing. Now, I'm not here to validate someone, but I do like psychology. And I do like trying to figure out what people are trying to do. And Adam, I wonder, what are you trying to do? What are you trying to get here? Because you say we just have our two different ways. Well, I've been telling you that the whole time for, what, a year? We just have our two different perspectives. But you're here in my channel. So you shouldn't be surprised if I'm practicing it in my channel the way I see it, right? This deconstructive, analytic way that I see what we do here in our discussion. Now, I know there's millions of different ways, and I interact with people that have other approaches to it. But this is what I do, and you were